can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today's video, I wanted to talk about Cyborg #1 by Morgan Hampton and Tom Rainey. This is one of the key kickoff comics for Dawn of DC, the initiative that's going on right now, where DC is taking the opportunity to relaunch a bunch of different series, whether it's characters who you are already terribly familiar with, or if it's characters that you are woefully unfamiliar with. They're taking this opportunity to build up these characters, take these opportunities to tell stories with some of these characters you probably don't get much from, and even kind of create an onboarding point for characters that you probably are too intimidated by their backlog to want to even get started with. And they're even introducing some new characters in all of this as well. But the thing I really want to focus on right here is with Cyborg, what exactly is this all about? This is a good jumping on point, kind of like how I feel about the new Dawn of DC Green Arrow comic. It does something very similar, where I feel like Cyborg is handled a little bit better by my estimation, in just the idea that Morgan Hampton doesn't take a lot of time to really just hammer home to you who Cyborg is if you're not already familiar. There is a little bit of an assumption that you're at least vaguely familiar enough with Cyborg to be able to just jump on this, and with any little bit of hand holding you'll be fine. And honestly, that's a fair assessment, because I feel like, you know, they take these opportunities through a couple of different key moments in this comic to make it clear who Cyborg is, where he comes from. So that part I'm not gonna hammer on too much, just because I've already done a video breaking down exactly who Cyborg is. It'll be up here somewhere. You can go check it out and learn everything you need to know about Cyborg's history and how he became who he became. But the whole kickoff for this comic is that Cyborg's father, Dr. Silas Stone, has passed away, and seemingly passed away from natural causes. This was something I wasn't really expecting, considering that I felt like this was actually going to be a great opportunity for the character of Dr. Silas Stone to finally have some kind of a decent relationship, a familial relationship with his son Vic. And in a roundabout way, we're gonna kind of get that, because while yes, Dr. Silas Stone has been killed off, he doesn't stay dead for long, and that's because he's returned as a sort of cyborg himself. Albeit, I'm gonna go to a limb and say he's probably more of a robot than anything else. I feel like it's his consciousness that has been uploaded to an android of some sort, because we do clearly see a body being put in the ground in this issue. So his consciousness somehow, some way, is in the body of this machine. And this makes for a very interesting dynamic between these two characters, because, you know, once again, if you're not familiar with the history of Cyborg, the notion that regardless of whether you're looking at the New Earth continuity or the Prime Earth continuity, or the fact that these two continuities are now merged together, the idea here is that Silas took advantage of his son Vic. He manipulated him and turned him into the hero that he is today, despite the fact that Vic didn't really want to be a part of any of that. Victor Stone was the victim of an accident that took away his agency. Once again, regardless of whether it's New Earth or Prime Earth continuity, the fact that he has a mother box fused into his body, that changed the game for him. And Dr. Silas Stone used that as a way to turn Vic into the person he always wanted him to be, even if it wasn't the person that Vic ultimately wanted to be. I like the idea of this, and we don't really have a whole heap of a lot of information to go on. I was kind of wondering even when this character, or this, you know, robot that we see walking down the street pissing everybody off, when we saw this robot, I initially thought, I wonder if this is what I think it is, and it turned out to be exactly that. And the reason why all of this is happening is because some new characters that are being introduced into this series. One of these new characters in question is a new slick tech guru by the name of Marcus Wilcox. This is a new character being introduced to the DC Comics universe, and he is the owner and operator of a company called Solace. This is some new hotshot org that is out here to help humanity grow beyond its normal bounds, and using technology and robotics and engineering, science, and all that good stuff to elevate humanity to the next level. In a roundabout way, you could very easily see this as kind of a LexCorp type deal. There's even a point where we're introduced to another character by the name of Estelle Green, who I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminded me of a kind of a Candace Owens type of character. If you're not familiar with who Candace Owens is, then I think you're probably better for it. But just to give you the brief summary of this is that Candace Owens is a black woman who initially kicked off her career in politics as more of a left-leaning political pundit, and then once she realized she could make a crap ton, and I mean a metric crap ton of money being a black woman supporting Donald Trump, she quickly made the switch from leftist to alt-right-wing grifter and basically makes a living off of trying to tell white people what she believes black people actually want and what they don't, and making apologies for people like Hitler, and then at one point in time criticizing Kanye West and then supporting Kanye West. And it's up to you to figure out exactly when and where those moments line up with some of Kanye West's recent activities. The reason why I say Candace Owens is because there's a point in this where people are making fun of her hair. If you look to the right of the panels and watch the chat for her live stream, you can see a couple of people making fun of her hair, and that's something that people do with Candace Owens all the time. The fact that her hair always just looks incredibly dry, or that she might be wearing a wig, or that she's bald-headed. You can infer anything else from there. Just know that depending on your political leanings, Candace Owens will either make you really sad or make you very happy. I don't know. Either way, the point is that when we see Marcus Wilcox for the first time, this Candace Owens stand-in, and who knows, she may be an allegory for someone else entirely, because there's also some Breakfast Club references here as well, with the whole donkey of the day, only in this case it's called the dumbass of the day. But oh no, Marcus Wilcox is set up as this guy who could potentially be a not bad guy, because this woman who clearly has issues with Cyborg and thinks that he's problematic just because he's a superhero, and immediately turns around and supporting some random white lawyer who I'm pretty sure is gonna wind up becoming a much bigger character somewhere down the stretch, some guy by the name of Jamie Korkmaz. Yet another new character being introduced in this, who's kind of like a Corey B. Trotz ambulance chasing lawyer type, whose whole job is to help people make money off of injuries that are caused as a direct result of a superhero's actions, even if the superhero was trying to be helpful. Either way, the way that Morgan Hampton sets up Marcus Wilcox, kind of almost making him seem like he might actually be on the up and up, is because you have this sleazy character introducing him, and then also introducing yet another sleazy character and juxtapositioning these characters to make it seem as though one is good, one is bad. But in the end, it seems like Marcus Wilcox is actually the bad guy here, because for whatever reason, he seems to be the one who's directly responsible for Dr. Silas Stone's being put in that android body. I'm not 100% sure whether or not he was the one who was responsible for killing Dr. Silas Stone, but regardless of whether he is responsible or not, it does seem kind of suspicious that this Marcus character is introducing himself to Cyborg at Dr. Silas Stone's funeral. Now, whether or not this dude is a bad person, it's up for debate. He seems like a well-meaning person. He doesn't really seem to come off with any kind of malice towards Cyborg when he introduces himself, but you can tell there's definitely more to the story here. The idea here is that this guy is, in a roundabout way, giving Cyborg an opportunity to either A, get some level of closure with his father by way of interacting with him through an android body, or B, this guy did this out of some form of malice to give Vic some measure of comfort in the idea that his father was having to suffer through something that Vic has had to suffer through his entire life, being a man trapped in a machine's body, or C, both. I say all this because that's another thing this comic is really heavy on, is the idea of grief and how one compartmentalizes their feelings towards someone who is supposed to be their loved one that's only caused them pain. Like, I've had dreams about moments like what we see Cyborg deal with in this issue, where how would I eulogize my father? Because I have two fathers in my life. I have my birth father, who was not really much of one, and I had my stepfather, who was more like a real dad to me than my actual birth father. So I remember eulogizing my stepfather, and it was something that was very heartfelt for me and was very difficult for me to do. It was something where, like, I had all of these feelings of hope and joy and, you know, just love and caring. But if I actually had to do the same thing for my actual birth father, it's not so much that I dislike him, it's just that I don't really know what I would say about it. This is kind of one of those moments I was really able to empathize with in this comic. So I feel like this is an opportunity that that Morgan Hampton is going to take to tell a story of two people who have been at odds with one another, maybe finally seeing each other's side of the story. That's what I'm hoping for here. But all in all, Cyborg is off to a pretty decent start. Anyways, that's everything I really want to talk about with Cyborg #1. If you enjoyed this video, do the YouTube thing, like, share, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel out and gets more visibility on it. And also make sure you tap that notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any videos that I put out. And let me know what you thought about Cyborg #1. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.